So my name is May Mahboob. I am the co-founder of MBD Financials, and we are building a decentralized photorealistic business district in the metaverse, leveraging NFTs and really proving some of the real-world use cases and how we could tie it to tangible goods and services, just like the conversation, continuing the conversation from previous. And Ren, do you want to?
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Ren Ciarrocchi of Ren's Renders. I am an extended reality artist and builder. So I make architectural structures for the metaverse, sell one-to-one digital art pieces as NFTs, and build virtual reality environments. So a lot of my work does exist in the virtual realm, but there's a lot to be said about the utility that can come from NFT usage.
So I'm going to make this very conversational, and because this is one of my favorite topics. So as we're building out metaverses, you have various ones. One of my favorites, actually, that I studied their business model quite deeply is like Roblox, right? Mm-hmm. So they were one of the very first centralized metaverses that actually use a lot of digital assets. So as we tie it in with, everyone, Nike, we've seen Nike tying it to digital assets, more of the social aspect, brand loyalty, and various things such as that. We will definitely see more and more engagement with NFTs, with actual goods, services, and products, because there's so much more to tap into versus just digital assets and utilizing it more for community and social aspect. I'd love to kind of, from your perspective, building out the metaverse, what are you really seeing out there, businesses utilizing that aspect?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to use the metaverse for branding purposes and sponsorships, the ways that brands are onboarding their community into these spaces. There's still much to be said about the onboarding process. Crypto still is a bit difficult to get the wallet, get the mask, and get onto the blockchain. But the technology itself is what is key right there. So I'm not quite sure which companies you were referring to in terms of their business models, but there is a lot to be said also in digital assets. My little brother is very into Fortnite, has always been for a long time, and he has all of these skins. He has these pieces that he's owned for a very long time, but they live in the Fortnite marketplace. If they were on the blockchain, he would be able to sell those assets for great sums of money because they're rare, they're unique, and they cannot be recreated at this point. So, once those gaming systems specifically start to get onto the blockchain, then you can actually own your assets.
Yeah, and for my business model and what I'm seeing in the market and what we're really focusing on is the commerce side of it. So commerce, service industry, how do we tie in current business models so we're able to tap into the Web 2 space? A lot of times I feel like especially within the market, most innovation's growing at a very rapid stage, but we're still continuing to tap into the same consumer base. So how do we really get the rest of the industry and to really even B2B services, get them to really implement some of these solutions and add it into their budget? So from my opinion, what we've focused on is simplifying the concept of NFTs and tying it to their current business models. So whether it's building out an entire loyalty structure or creating an additional form of revenue from their current goods, services, or even within real estate. So I would love from an actual builder. I do it for more of the commerce side. So we're creating a platform where people, it's like Amazon, Fiverr, Upworks, OpenSeek, all merged via AI. But we're going to tap into the digital real estate industry and building it out in various phases. So if you just want to kind of share from your perspective, from the builder's perspective.
Yeah, just building in virtual worlds. The conversation is about the tangible use cases, but it's fun to even question the word tangible. If you put on a headset and you're wearing haptic gloves and you're holding something and you're feeling it, is that tangible, So it's fun to see the way that emerging technology is changing or questioning the very definition of these words to begin with. When it comes to building in the space and you're talking about businesses, B2B models, I think it would be great for other companies to create their own metaverse spaces and start to sell in those spaces, but it's still about those numbers. Those people gotta be there. We've gotta get them in. And once the Oculus isn't, or any type of virtual reality headset, we're not complete meta stands here, but once it's not a brick on your face, it's a pair of sunglasses. I see it as the future of social media, absolutely. So every business should be looking towards it, especially for their future models to be generating new revenue streams. Multiple ways that they could do that. They can sell in the space, they can advertise in the space, host events, and bring their community together. That's technically face-to-face because you're standing there looking at them. And yes, that is what I'd say on that.
And I think from a brick and mortar aspect, during COVID, and I have a background coming from brick and mortar, building out brand engagement. So I think one of the main things that we're able to kind of bring when it comes to tangible use cases is the fact that how do we continue not just virtually, but drive traffic back into these organizations and brick and mortar locations. So one of the things that we've been leveraging is not just going from 0 to 100. So building out an entire metaverse and launching it all at once and hoping that the fab kind of stays between all of the platforms, that the engagement continues to stay. It takes time to build it out. And we don't, even though we're building on Unreal Engine 5, it's like the accessibility portion of it, I think, is so big because not everybody will be able to utilize it and be able to have that live stream and have it render in that aspect. So how do we really utilize some of the XR technology, extended reality technology, AR, as well as VR, to drive traffic back into actual business locations as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and AR specifically is a great way for businesses to bring a little bit of life to their IRL locations, scanning QR codes and bringing even artworks to life. You see static image, but you can bring it to life via your phone. But of course, you still need to look through your phone. So it's not the tech. The tech's not quite there just yet. I'm excited for the future of it for sure, though, and to see what businesses do with it as well.
Absolutely, and I'll give you a fun use case that we're currently working on. How do you drive traffic back into the location where not only are we creating digital twins of products to really get brands to engage with their consumers, but it also allows them to directly look at current solutions and have a better view for inventory purposes. What are we going to launch in the next fall versus just relying on the trend and buyers and these individuals and have a ton of inventory left over. This way, they're able to get the voting rights, really engage with their consumers and see, hey, this is what they're voting for next season. So that's kind of what you work on. But driving that traffic back through AR, a use case is having that NFT where you're able to put QR codes throughout the store. And even if they go to the store and scan it, they're able to redeem it for a product or service, right? So it's always, getting that engagement is so important, and there's so many ways we're able to do it.
Yeah, and that's really key, especially considering incentives. People really want to see incentives to be using this technology because, everyone talks about it, but if they don't have their own benefits to come from it, then they don't have a particular need to do it, especially right now. So incentives drive community and people into those stores.
And that's really what builds brand loyalty, whether you're in regardless of the space that you're in, whether it's B2B or B2C, brand loyalty is really important. What does this brand stand for? And how do they engage and acquire clients or customers or their followers, right? So looking at this allows us to be able to communicate directly with your end user. And collaboration, I think, is one of the biggest points of NFTs, I feel like.
Yes, very true, especially with the ability to share royalties. That's really changing the game, especially from an art perspective. You used to create a piece of art and sell it for however much, and then the new owner was the new owner, and they could do as they please and sell it and get that revenue. But now you get a % of that sale every single time. Especially for me, I have NFTs with I've worked with artists in the past for their music on the back, so I get to share royalties with them, and everyone gets a cut, and you can share, and it's just like such a wonderful way to empower other artists and collaborations where everyone feels adequately included.
At the same time, I would love to kind of discuss also, from the other end, some of the challenges. What are some of the challenges that you're seeing?
I think that it would be kind of the onboarding and the cultures around it. I think that it's still a bit of a niche community. Obviously, there's a lot of people here for the conference, people excited about it, talking about it. But again, it's the mainstream onboarding. There's still a lot to be done to make getting a crypto wallet much easier, and shorter addresses and education on it, and driving interest, upping the incentives for people to onboard. And I like to think that I have a part in that. I'm definitely talking to all my friends saying, look out my NFTs, check out my metaverse galleries. So I think that it'll continue to evolve in time. And I think that businesses specifically need to start seeing the numbers. They need to start seeing their ROIs on these metaverse spaces. Because again, if there aren't people in there, then there aren't eyes on your advertisements. There aren't eyes on your products. So once we start to really get those numbers, and I think that will also come with the advancement of technology, then I really just see it as the future at this point. A lot of it is a waiting game, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And in addition to education, and you hear this a lot as well, I do believe that accessibility and simplicity is very, very important, especially as we're trying to tap into the Web 2 space, right? Individuals that quite don't understand what NFTs are, or don't really find blockchain any relevance in their day-to-day lives. So how do we really bring simplicity into the market? One of the challenges that I've found is with so many solutions that are out there, with open source, and now builders, developers are able to create a platform. To be honest, I've seen platforms come up within a week being built. I think where we need to come, industry as a whole, is streamlining some of the accessibility pinpoints where it's not so outrageously expensive. I've seen platforms with very simple solutions, and when I ask about subscription models and prices, it's like outrageous. It's like $3,000 a month. Well, for a startup, for an individual, as they're bootstrapping their way through building these business models with NFTs, with their current solutions that already exist, it's quite difficult because you need about 10 different platforms to successfully launch your brand. So how do we simplify that and make it affordable to really get the masses to onboard? I think that's one of the main key points from an industry professional. We need to come together and say, okay, what is the ROI going to be 2 years from now versus how can I make the most, how can I really build quickly and get it out there and tap into that, tap into him first before B comes out with another product.
Yeah, absolutely. And to speak a little bit more on the individual side of the business, Ren's Renders, I have my LLC, I do freelance contract work. So talking about like utility and use cases for these NFTs, I build architectural structures for the metaverse, I make these galleries, and once someone purchases that, then they have access to all my other services, interior design for that space, custom 3D assets, character rigging, and maybe even eventually event promotion and organization of community events in the metaverse. And the last gallery that I created was for Nolcha shows back at Art Basel. And fast forward 3 months later, I'm creative director for their NFT.NYC event this past Wednesday, actually, and it was wonderful if anyone was there. But that just shows the power that NFTs have to facilitate these real-life business connections, even just one-to-one. And I'm going to continue to work with this company, continue to create with them, and it's just really, really a great use case in showing how far that these sales can go and what this community really can do for you.
Absolutely. And some of the there's so many use cases out there, and in this space, we're more focused on building the foundation. So we have, at MBD, we launched a platform that has all of those solutions from dashboard, analytics, AI, where an individual can go and just completely start a business. But some of the things that we're gonna continue to work on is seeing how else can we really expand these business models to really onboard with simplicity and provide that accessibility to as many individuals as we're able to, and making it affordable. So,
yeah, looks like our time.
thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.